Welcome to Meet the Writers, the brand new show where we will get to know the writers of the literary masterpieces which are the foundations upon which Lord Starfish's fanfic readings is built. I am your host, Lord Starfish, and this is my co-host, Nimbus Irisphere, who was the one who first came up with the brilliant idea for this new show.
I'm not sure whether I'm happy about this or not. I have stage fright right now, and I'm not even the one being interviewed.
And this is my other co-host, Dark Torgami, aka Torgo Forever, the bestest evil dude ever who plans to create a new English language.
Boo-hee-ho-ha, my interviewing chubbies!
Today we are interviewing, how do I pronounce your name?
Suirahpla.
What he said. Author of the epic Code Geass, Awesome of the Rebellion. Now, Mr. Suirahpla, your story was one that I came across by happy accident, and I was quite quickly sucked into its spectacularly suspenseful action scenes and brilliant twists. Now I must ask, what was the initial spark that inspired you to write the story?
Well, if you've read other trollfics, you can probably tell it is heavily inspired by the Dark and Light Adventures of Dark Yagame.
And here I thought that it wasn't inspired by that at all.
Oh no, yeah, because my author's notes notice this is not inspired at all by Dark Yagame, completely original product of my own drunken imagination. But no, I was inspired by Dark Yagame because that's my favorite trollfic of all time.
I think it's all of our favorites because it basically just takes every bad fic trope and turns it up to 11 to the point it becomes amazing.
One of the significant things I noticed about Dark Yagame is compared to other trollfics is that it has like terrible grammar, but most of the time the spelling is pretty legible, which is something I tried to transfer when writing Code Geass, Awesome of the Rebellion. Have terrible grammar, but alright spelling.
Well, I'd say you're doing a pretty good job on that.
I happen to love that insofar as it's really easy to then read it epically without distraction. Except on the odd occasions that the sentences are just so convoluted that I believe Senpai has expressed such examples in some of the early chapters with his post-chapter commentary, expressing how hard it was for him to get through some of the lines. Might I mention a certain anti-Geass cancellation Geass?
Yes, that. So anyway, shall we move on to the next question?
Sure.
I have to ask, was this actually your first fanfiction?
Yes, it was.
Well, for your first attempt, I'd say that this is pretty epic. Or actually, even if it wasn't your first attempt, it would still be pretty epic. So, congrats for that.
I have been thinking of actually writing more serious fanfics on a different account, but so far I haven't been able to muster up the
The anti-writer's block?
to do so. Yeah.
In fairness, I have also tried writing some serious fanfic, or at least one, but it sort of got completely stuck after a few chapters when I realized that I really hadn't planned it out all that well.
I've been writing fanfiction for ages, but I've been on a several-month hiatus of writing any serious fanfic because I've just completely ran out of inspiration. So I totally understand where you're coming from. But if you tried writing a serious fanfic, I think it would be pretty epic, considering how awesome of the Rebellion has been.
Next question. What is your actual opinion on Code Geass?
First season of Code Geass, I really liked it. Second season, I liked it at the time of viewing it, but looking back, there was a TV Tropes, like someone on TV Tropes expressed my opinion in that it's like a train wreck where they kept sending in more trains.
Yeah, the second season of Code Geass got really ridiculous.
The ending made up for it, though.
I just remember at one point I saw someone on this one internet forum of mine saying that he didn't really watch mecha anime and the only ones he liked was Code Geass and Evangelion. Because Evangelion had good animation and Code Geass had a really good story, and I was like, sure you didn't get those two backwards? Not that I'm personally all that fond of Evangelion either, but Code Geass definitely has better animation than Evangelion, and, well, let's just say, with Evangelion I can say it's more that I don't get it, whereas for Code Geass I think I do get what they are going for, but it's just ridiculous.
I had to give up after Yuffie died. Spoilers. That made me too sad. Although I might be able to watch it again, considering I got through all of Attack on Titan so far now, and I didn't give up after...
Episode 21.
Episode 21, yeah.
Which one was the one where the pacing got really bad and there was filler all over the place?
Do you mean every episode between the end of season 1, the first, half of the season, and episode 21?
Yeah, I guess that was it, but that was around that point where the pacing was starting to get really bad.
Speaking as someone who's read the original manga, the pacing in the manga is even worse.
Huh.
Well, suddenly I'm looking slightly less forward to receiving the manga because I ordered it recently, but... Thanks for that.
I just... Hey, Cho. I'm so sorry for him. Also, Hanji is my waifu. Anyway, though.
Yeah. So anyway, did you have any tropes in mind when you started writing this fanfiction?
Not necessarily.
It just sort of happened.
Sorta, it's just whatever came to my head when it's past 12 and I've had one too many pints of Guinness and I've been reading too much bad fanfiction. Lately I've been trying to insert quite a bit of rule of cool, as you probably noticed.
Oh, so much cool.
No, really?
So much cool. Although I love how one thing that seems to happen is you have very consistent characterization.
Yeah.
I mean, Awesome continues to be a cool and awesome guy that respects everyone's rights and dignity and never does anything shady or questionable because he's just too awesome.
He is a kind and generous soul.
Now I won't have to pay for welfare since he was smart and needed to save funds for the war.
Have you read the Christmas special yet?
Yes, we have.
We have not recorded it yet. We have all read it.
You know, to be honest, when I saw the Grinch, I first thought of when the Atop the Fourth Wall episode for the Star Trek comic where there were Grinches and Santa. I don't know why, but for some reason it made me think of that.
I question the time spacing of this because apparently Awesome has freedom to Russia, but it takes place between R1 and R2.
Indeed.
What?
And also, I don't think we really saw much of Lelouch last chapter. Last time he showed up in that tank, I was pretty much blaring the full Soviet anthem as he fell into Rasputin's butterfly net.
Well,
Lelouch wasn't invited because he's a meanie-head and doesn't like Christmas.
Oh, of course he is.
And on the topic of Lelouch being caught in Rasputin's butterfly net, so where did that massive communism subplot come from?
I just needed something to follow up revealing that Mao was Mao Zedong. And I thought, you know what? Maybe more communism. Maybe his power is communism.
You know, considering that you I know
Brilliant.
you sort of rediscovered that Awesome was still being referenced after we started reading Light and Dark Dew. So were you reading Light and Dark Dew, and had you read the chapter with the 10 Geass man and our theories about Mao?
I've read bits and pieces of Dark and Light Dew. I actually haven't read the part with the Tengios man. Either that or my eyes were bleeding and I didn't see it.
No, that's a completely shared sentiment. Torgo is an evil genius.
That impossibly huge number.
What impossibly huge numbers?
How
There are
many
impossibly
digits was
huge
it?
numbers all over the place.
I know there were some with 800 digits.
Yes. That's probably the longest one.
Because Senpai's actually sort of got a catchphrase going for that, where he just sort of gasps the words 800-digit number.
The 800-letter number.
Or 300-digit number, or 200-digit number, whatever, just something 100-digit number.
Something absurd of, as much as we love the accuracy of our readings, we are not going to read that.
And I feel like I've been hogging a lot of questions until now, so does someone else want to ask something?
Torgo, you haven't asked anything in a while.
True. This one is... I don't know if this is fit for later or now, but you at one point referenced Miami Connection, and shortly afterward I saw it. The thing was so 80s that I decided to put an 80s theme in my current arc in my fic, and I've just been watching 80s stuff like Roadhouse, the Transformers movie. Let me think, what were the other ones? Let me see. Highlander, Red Dawn,
Highlander.
RoboCop.
Highlander,
This is too
the
80s.
Highlander, the movie where, as a mechanical engineer, so much stuff exploding and falling over when no one actually hit it. And everything falls down when you hit one member of, like, a truss. And it was a supporting, like, a zero force member normally. And that just makes no sense, because no building code would have allowed something so flimsy to begin with. And I just... 80s.
And, basically, I wanted to ask, where did you first discover Miami Connection?
I discovered it because of Red Letter Media.
Oh.
They did a review of it, and I'm like, this looks fucking horrible, I need to see it.
It's just so amazingly bad.
Sort of the reason why we read bad fanfiction. This looks horrible. Let's read it.
I love that they included the Friends song from the Miami Connection in the end of Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. You beat the game, the credits play, and the theme, Friends Through Eternity, Honesty, Loyalty, starts playing.
Shit, I need to see a full playthrough of Blood Dragon then.
You need to play Blood Dragon, it is amazing. It is 80s the game.
Okay, got it.
I'm scared now. Let's give Torgo more video games to write about.
You get RoboCop's gun in the game.
Oh, move, creep.
So, what exactly took you so long getting back from that trip to the store to pick up milk?
Well, there was an incident with a bear, and then some Iroquois, and then another bear. It was a very hectic trip. I live in Canada. The store is like half a state away, to put it in US terms. Half a state away from my house.
I know that feeling.
Half of Rhode Island or half of Montana? There's kind
Half
of...
of Texas.
half of Texas. Ooh. Okay.
But no, the actual reason that I didn't update the fic in so long is just because I was getting tired and I needed to focus on school stuff since I was going to uni soon. And I'm in uni now. But I decided to pick it up again just because I realized, hey, people actually were enjoying this enough to do dramatic readings of it. Maybe I should continue.
Although I
also,
still think that this fic doesn't get nearly enough recognition. I mean, I think I'm the only person doing a dramatic reading of it. And that somehow bothers me.
There's someone else doing a dramatic reading on YouTube of it. They started in December, I think. I forget their YouTube username. I think it was something old man. I'm not sure, though. But the fact that people apparently liked it enough to do dramatic readings and to actually make spin-off troll fics of it.
Awesome is just so awesome. And he provides the chance.
Hold on, I found the guy's name. It's the Great Old Man.
I see. Well, that's still a pretty recent development, though, I see.
So yeah, shoutouts to him.
Still needs more recognition, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, your fanfic is the only thing that is that it has a lot in common with Light and Dark, but at the same time it's very much its own story.
Yeah, it's going to develop into even stranger ways
Oh dear.
as some of these subplots get going.
Oh dear.
Wonderbar.
The communism one, that's a minor one compared to what's going to be happening next.
It reminds me of me, because, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but I have 2 arcs planned from the current one I'm at, and let's just say they get absolutely crazy.
Jesus, Torgo, your fic is going to end up being longer than the actual adventures of Dark Yagami at this rate.
It was a goal from day one.
At least we've stopped hearing about Fabio for the most part. I went back and listened to that, and I realized it was so painful I couldn't even finish listening to it.
Same here.
Well, for me, I'm not sure if that's just because it was so painful or because I kind of sucked at reading at that point.
Yeah, in the beginning I was trying to compete with Fabio's grammar.
I didn't even get to the part where Obama rapes Edward in the forest.
That fiction, next question, please. I'm starting to short circuit.
Okay, then I think that I would like to ask probably the biggest question that's ever been on my mind for this story. Care to comment on how Saber killed both of Awesome's parents, yet the Emperor is still alive?
Spoilers. That's how.
So that's been on your
so
that's been on
there's
your
going
mind
to
from
be
the
a
beginning.
grand revelation about that at some point, I presume.
Yes. And somehow it's going to make even less sense than if he was just killed and brought back to life by Awesome.
See, we assumed that since Awesome has the life Geass, at least this was always my theory, that the Emperor was his father, and then Saber killed the Emperor. And then Awesome brought him back to life with the life Geass. And then the Emperor, being the Emperor, was all like, hey, this guy's really powerful, I'm going to hire him. Oh, don't life note Geass your mother back to life. Because, let's face it, I'm already, paying too much to support all these other women that I did it with. And I don't like you anymore, so go away. And Awesome's like, but father, no! Clearly this is Saber's fault.
See, the problem with that, though, is it's a logical conclusion.
Well, that's what I
Yeah,
do.
we
That's
can't
actually
do
my
that.
job, is to try and make logical conclusions out of facts that weren't really even there to begin with.
Say, Nimbus, you know what Killer 7 is, right?
I do not, actually.
Try tying in some logic out of that. The writing of Suda 51 back then is very similar to the stuff the Arc Yagami did, in the sense it's totally insane, but it has a very loose system of internal logic binding itself together.
I'll do that when I don't have a differential equation test coming up.
Don't you save the game in Killer 7 by talking to a head that's in a washing machine? Just a talking severed head.
That is not a save point, but that talking severed heads, Ed later goes on to say some of the most disturbing shit in the whole game.
Okay,
I am not
suddenly I want to
surprised.
play that game.
A severed head in a washing machine that says disturbing things.
Well, you see it first in a washing machine, then you see it in other locations. The washing machine is the most tame of them. The most disturbing one is in a gas station, but I won't tell you when that happens.
The only Suda 51 games I've played are both of the No More Heroes games and Killer is Dead.
Killer is Dead. I just had mixed feelings. It had all the elements there, but it wasn't all brought together as well as it could have been. And all the side content sucked.
I liked that it was basically Tuxedo Mask the game.
Well, it had its strong points, but the thing is, Suda is best when he has someone bringing his elements together. In Killer 7, he had Shinji Mikami. In Sudacher, he had Hideo Kojima. In No More Heroes, he was able to do it himself pretty well, but in the end, I just liked him with Mikami best.
So basically, he works better when constrained by someone else, so he is kind of like George Lucas then. Or perhaps George Lucas just lost it in general, I suppose.
Someone sometimes just needs to put a gag over his mouth.
Yusa
and
Tinka
just-
Yusa gonna die?
I like to imagine that Suda 51 is just kept in a room with a bunch of, like, a Blu-ray player and a bunch of, like, anime discs, some old video games, and occasionally they let him out, just let him spew ideas for a minute straight, and then push him back in the cell.
That's honestly would make a lot of sense.
I'm afraid I'm not as experienced in this field as you guys. My video game field is more constrained to the occasional Kingdom Hearts, Pokemon TF2, and Fire Emblem when I feel like being emotionally distraught. Fire Emblem. It's like Attack on
Does anyone have
Titan.
any other questions, perhaps?
Let's see.
Actually, this is a bit tangential, but since Nimbus brought up Kingdom Hearts, I need to ask something. How many people here actually know Shimamura's work beyond that? This is a bit of a personal tick, but it gets on my nerves when people know Shimamura just for Kingdom Hearts work and nothing else.
I'm not certain, what other games has he designed?
And composed music for. Let's start with an easy example, Super Mario RPG.
I have not played that one, but I've played, like, a bunch of other Mario RPG games. Mostly the Paper Mario ones.
The original and Thousand Year Door are great. Super Paper Mario, while too easy, has a great narrative. Sticker Star was...
I'm going to say something controversial and state that Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door is the Citizen Kane of video games, and if you disagree with this statement, I dare you to prove me wrong.
Well, it's just one of the best Nintendo RPGs that's non-serious. I could hold it up to Earthbound, and I think it's actually pretty well balanced.
A Thousand Year Door
I
was
do
actually
have
pretty
one
amazing.
problem with it. It has too much backtracking between chapters compared to the first game.
I know that everyone
Oh.
who ever played Thousand Year Door absolutely loved it, so far as who I've spoken to. Wow, I'm...
Glitz Pit is the best level I've ever seen in video game history. I love it so much. Everything about it, down to like the minorest detail. The posters that get put up after you defeat like a new match. It's just so good.
The entire aesthetic for Glitzville is just something immersive, to say the least. Despite being such a small town, it basically feels incredibly lively, simply because of just how much color is put into it. And the
And you-
music.
And you fight Hulk Hogan at the end.
Suburban Commando! Or was it Santa with muscles?
No, it was Rockhawk.
Yes.
But, back to, Awesome of the Rebellion and such. Something that's always bothered me, how exactly did Saber get more eyes? How is that even a thing? Like, how did his Geass giver do that?
V2 surgeried eyes onto his face using science.
Do the eyes actually work? Aside from
Yes.
I mean, I know he can use the Geass. Can he actually see out of those eyes? And what does that do with how his brain fits together all the images his eyes are sending in?
Well, they use science on him.
They used science and outer space. Is that right?
Does he have compound eyes like an insect now?
Was it Combine Science?
No, yeah, it was combined science. It was science in outer space.
So is V2 from Science and Outer Space?
That'll be revealed eventually.
Oh, okay, so that answers one of the other questions. We are going to see V2 again.
Yes.
Huh.
Our next question. If Awesome got into a fight with Harry Potter from 30H's, also known as... How do you think that would go down?
I'm pretty sure a couple of universes would explode at least. It would basically be the ending to Gurren Lagann, where they're just throwing galaxies as frisbees at each other.
sounds legit. It would be, I theorize it would be just pure liquid metal seeping from the eardrums of the listeners as they slowly lean back and sigh.
Speaking of Gurren Lagann, though, have you seen the movies of that?
No, I have not. I've only seen the anime.
I've only seen the TV series. The films are just recaps, aren't they?
I'm pretty sure at the ending of the movie...
Because it's like, the movies take the final battle and make it even more insane.
Yeah, doesn't Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann transform into a super Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann and turn to basically giant space Kamina with a cape and a robot for like a heart?
This is the sound of my brain
Basically,
short-circuiting
yes.
again. Let's see. I think we've asked everything that was on the list. Does anyone have any other questions?
Well, I suppose I could have one more. About what is the estimated number of chapters you expect to end Awesome of the Rebellion on at this moment?
I have no clue how long I'm planning, like, to extend it.
So it's sort of an open project so long as its heart continues to beat kind of thing, huh?
Well,
Yeah.
Well,
Senpai?
Okay, and one last one.
I would like to request one thing for it, though.
Yes, Senpai?
Well, I would just like to request that, please, at the end, try and basically imitate the actual ending, but take any sort of loss that may be in it out of it. Just make it like everybody wins or somehow. I'm assuming that was what was in the plan, but just try and take any sort of sacrifice that was in the ending out of it.
Actually, there's another thing I should ask, because there's an anime that was made by Sunrise recently that was so ludicrous, so over the top, it actually made me think of Awesome of the Rebellion. That anime was Valvrave, which many of my friends dubbed Vampire Geass.
Vampire Geass.
You're saying that, and all I can imagine is Twilight with Lelouch as that word.
That's a beautiful mental image. Colin, don't look at me. I'm a monster. It's okay. I'll just go out with awesome.
But, yeah. The ending for Valvrave was so amazingly terrible. It was even more bloated than Metal Gear Solid 4 and how it tried to wrap up everything in some of the shittiest storytelling imaginable.
Hey, let's have you fight the bosses and then explain their backstories once they're dead.
That's not how they did it in... Wait, no, that is how they did it in Naruto. Oh my gosh, that explains so much.
That's
Naruto
also how
is
they did
Metal
it in
Gear
Bleach,
Solid.
I seem to recall.
That's actually a rule in Naruto. If you're a member of the Akatsuki and you take off your cloak during the fight, you're going to die.
Also, this one's for a final question. This one's a bit off, but I need to ask, Suirahpla, what is your favorite game composer?
My favorite game composer, that is a hard one. Basically everyone who's worked on the Zelda tracks. Because
For
I
me-
love Zelda's OST so much.
For me, it's basically Shoji Meguro. He's a guy who began working on the Shin Megami Tensei series since 1997.
That sound of a facepalm was me remembering Torgo singing in falsetto.
Which is, of course, something that at the time of this recording has not yet been uploaded on YouTube, but it hopefully should in a day or two.
You can look forward to Torgo singing in falsetto.
So, how did you guys enjoy the Christmas special that was released in late January?
You'll get our
You
full
outdid my Christmas special by a long shot. Honestly, you did.
You'll get our full appreciation when we read the thing, but...
Of course, speaking of reading the thing, that just reminds me, I sort of wanted to ask, Sir Alpha, would you be interested in actually reading your author's notes for that, and like I could actually have that in the video?
Sure.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Actually, here's another thing. Would you like to tag along when we start reading Bloodhaven, which will start as soon as Lord Starfish uploads the next part?
If I have free time available, I certainly will.
Well,
Great.
strictly speaking, I have 2 parts I need to upload before we get to that, but yeah. Both have been recorded, and I hope to have them out within like 2 weeks or so.
I look forward to listening to them because that's actually what keeps me sane around here is listening to our readings because it makes me think of happy times. So I think that's... Unless Senpai has any other questions.
I'm about done with mine.
Yeah, I think that's about it. So
Alright.
I suppose we should like wrap it up for the video at least or something.
Yes, so Sir Alpha, thank you for agreeing to sit in for this interview. This has been amazing. Again, just thank you for
having me.
It really has been great. I hope we get more of these if we can get more offers up. For some reason, this sounds absolutely crazy, but I really want to interview the opera of Fabio.
I haven't tried getting hold
I'm
of them
going to be
yet.
perfectly honest and say that I would rather that not happen.
I've messaged Arkigami E, but he hasn't been online in months. So
Shame.
So yes, again, thank you Sir Alpha for this interview, and we hope to see much more awesomeness from Awesome of the Rebellion in the future.
Alright, thank you for having me, and you certainly will see more.